Bulgaria? What's happening?
Well, I think what's happening depends a lot on what's happening around the world, because we are very small and we are strongly influenced by the big picture. So I would like to focus first on this because, man, we all know that with the coming of the second Trump administration, the world is changing drastically. And he's very clear and predictable in what he wants, the President of the United States. First, to make America great manufacturer powerhouse in the world. Hence, the trade wars, tariff policies, etc. Second, to focus on the big picture in competition with China, which means to close all conflicts which are draining resources from America, like Ukraine, Middle East, etc. And third, conservative revolution in America. And I'm following very closely the European reaction. Unfortunately, it reminds me in the last weeks more of this movie by Bob Fosse, All That Jazz. There is an essential sketch there where a comic is trying to present himself describing 5 stages of grief. First is denial. The second one is anger. Then comes bargaining, then depression, and finally acceptance. And I'm wondering where we are as Europeans in this changing world. Maybe in a bargaining phase, closer to depression in a way. But the lesson for Europe is that we have to grow up and to see that we have to have our own policy as a geopolitical player and to come together. I'm not quite confident if arms race and military deterrence is the best direction, because there is one thing, not that we don't have to provide our security, but the one thing which is missing from European political landscape in the past years is actually diplomacy. And Europe was built as a project for peace. Now we want to be at the table of negotiations with Ukraine together, with a very good reason. But one could ask, where was Europe during the Istanbul negotiations? There was another chance also after successful Ukrainian offensive in 23 to start negotiations from a strong point of view when Russian military lost. So this is a lesson to think about. But going finally to economic issues, especially for the region, there are good news. First is that since last year, Europe really woke up. At least there is a declared political will that we have to do something about our productivity, about our competitiveness. And apart from Draghi and the latter reports, there are decisions of the European Council from Budapest. And now there is a competitiveness compass presented by the Commission and a number of legislative acts. And they're focusing on few key issues. First, competitiveness, investment, innovation. And this is very positive. Now we have to see if this political will be implemented into actions. Which is a challenge for Europe always, because we are slow in our decision-making process and we have slow in actions and we don't have much time to lose. So the window of opportunities is relatively narrow. The second good news is that the erratic, very often, policy of the new US administration in economic fields, there are new possibilities for Europe. Because first of all, we are having more than 70 agreements for trade and cooperation around the world. And many countries in the world now are seeing that the United States are treating them with some bullish attitude, arms twisting, etc. And they want some predictability and respect. I think Europe should step in here economically, in Africa, in Latin America, and in other areas, and this is a big possibility for the European Union. The same about the investment process. In America, there is quite a big instability and investors are looking around. I have this feeling, at least this is what the media reports are saying. And now I'm coming finally to our region, where we are. We have to change our attitudes towards the European Union decision-making process. Because both Romania and Bulgaria, as relatively new countries, are still in the mode of either executors of decisions who have been taken by Brussels or victims of the same decisions. Now, with shaping the new European policy, we have to be proactive. And I would like to see the governments both in Romania and in Bulgaria to start public debate about our competitiveness compass and how do we integrate into these European challenges and to make it together. Apart from the discussion in our societies, the countries in the region, Greece, Romania, Bulgaria, and then broader in the Central and Eastern Europe, have to put our agenda at the European table when we shape the new policies. Because otherwise we are too weak individually. We're too small. So let's work in this direction in order to become really more successful. For me, there are clear priorities. They are evident. First, the European market has to be accomplished. In energy, in telecommunications, in the capital market union, and mobilize savings for investments. This is not done, and this should be the number one focus. And for the region, I think we're still having a big problem with regional infrastructure, connectivity, and all other elements. Plus, of course, we have to catch up on the new areas of developments. But I would say priorities for us should be demography. A consistent demographic policies for all countries in the region is a big problem. Education skills, because this is the potential which we are having, but we have to step up on it and develop it much further. Last point about Bulgaria. Last year, when I had the honor to be present at your conference, Romania looked very well. A country with stability, predictability, a serious partner of the West, within the West, of course, and Bulgaria was a disaster. 6 elections in a row without clear perspectives. Now we finally have a government. I hope it will stay long enough. And we are on the path to the Eurozone. And I think this is positive. There is, because we are a country in a currency board, we don't have monetary policy for more than 20 years anyway, 25 years, even more. So our transition should be much easier. I have only one concern, is that the public is not aware and there are fears created through political speaking. And if there is no very active public campaign by the government and very good organization to address the concerns, the expectations for inflation, it may happen. Not that there are any objective reasons, but things happen in the economy because many businesses are already making their calculations about big profits. So we need strong organization and we have to work together again in the region in order to be successful. Thank you.